Hey everyone, I am Dan Simkowski, better known as Artosis, and I'd like to thank you for tuning in to my AlphaStar analysis videos. This series is going to be about a set of games that were played between Serral, the world's best player, and AlphaStar at Blizzcon this year. Now, before we get into that, I do want to go through a little bit of history to know where I'm coming from, to know where AlphaStar is coming from, and know where Serral's coming from to make everything really clear. So first off, on me, I've been playing for more than 20 years. For a big chunk of that, I was a professional gamer. For the last 11 years, I've lived in South Korea, where I commentate, analyze, host shows, and all that about StarCraft. So this is my full-time job. Just love StarCraft, an amazing game. Now, about AlphaStar, let's talk about how this journey kind of began, just slightly for people who missed out on that. First off, we heard about DeepMind working on AlphaStar back in 2016. I was lucky enough to host a panel for them at BlizzCon, where they kind of went into what they're trying to do and the methods that are used in their learning, their neural networks and everything like that. So that was really cool, but everything was quiet for quite some time after that, until they showed up at BlizzCon in 2018, towards the end of the year, and showed some updates that were very exciting. Shortly thereafter, they did announce an event in London in 2019, January. Luckily, I was able to go and join them for that and get to analyze live some AlphaStar games that no one had seen before, where AlphaStar ended up taking down both TLO and Mana, two well-respected pro gamers from the European scene, 5-0 each. And then Mana was able to play one additional live match there and take AlphaStar down. Now, that event did spark a few questions about the way that AlphaStar was playing. Two main things would be its APM, which is actions per minute, how many inputs that you're actually giving the game of StarCraft to, and whether that was in line with human play or not, and also with the camera views that AlphaStar was using. Let's go ahead and look at the camera views first. This is how AlphaStar was looking at the game in that January event. So this is the entire map in StarCraft 2. All the kind of lighted up areas are areas that AlphaStar can see at that moment. So it's basically looking at everything that it can see at once. This is different from the way humans look at it. You have to actually move your screen around as a human player. So this was a little bit of an advantage for AlphaStar that it used during that January event. Now let's take a look at how they fix that up for AlphaStar going forward. This is now how AlphaStar looks at the camera. And for those of you who are not familiar with StarCraft 2, this is what it looks like for the most part when you're playing the game. You kind of see what's going on. You have to switch your screen around. This doesn't look particularly fast as an expert on the matter for a pro gamer. Not particularly slow, not particularly fast, just you can tell that AlphaStar is a good player from what you're watching here. The other big thing that people were questioning was the APM. Now, the APM, the actions per minute, is a very important statistic within StarCraft 2. Professional gamers, let's say, put in 300 actions per minute, different commands that they're giving the game between the keyboard and mouse. That would be, let's say that's a pretty normal number. I don't know the exact average amongst pro gamers, but it's right in that range, maybe 250 to 350. Now, AlphaStar did keep within that range in January, but it had peaks that were higher than what humans can actually accomplish. And this made it very powerful in certain situations where it was heavily controlling individual units. So we call that micromanagement in StarCraft 2. For instance, in many of the games in January, it was using mass amounts of blink stalkers, which is a highly micro-intensive unit, which in human hands doesn't beat everything, but in AlphaStar's hands did end up beating everything that the pro gamers threw at it. So they did go ahead and talk to some professionals, and after that January event, changed the APM and actually toned it way down. These are some of the graphs for what AlphaStar ended up using in its final series of tests. You can see that the APM is much closer to the curve of humans, sometimes faster, sometimes slower. And it definitely looks and feels more human. Just to throw it out there, I actually got to play against AlphaStar at BlizzCon, and I can say that it did not feel at all as if it were cheating, as if it were too fast. You can tell very quickly when you are playing StarCraft 2 whether you are playing something that's superhuman, and it certainly did not feel like that. So a very good fix as far as that APM goes. Now, AlphaStar was put onto the ladder, the European ladder, in July and August for some tests. And those tests resulted really interestingly. Here's a graph of the MMR, the matchmaking rating of AlphaStar over time. I know it looks a little bit confusing, but the important things to note are the different levels of play. So, for instance, if you've never played StarCraft 2, you're going to be a bronze player over on the left. That's the name of the lowest ranked league. After you begin to improve, you'll start to climb up through everything. Now, at the very, very top is Grandmaster. And pro gamers are up at the very top of Grandmaster. The Grandmaster is the top 200 players per server. So AlphaStar was put onto the European server, where it played a certain number of games. I believe AlphaStar Final for each race played 30 games, and all three of them ended up making it into Grandmaster. That's AlphaStar's Terran, AlphaStar's Zerg, and AlphaStar's Protoss. So some very impressive stuff, some very impressive stats as well coming out of AlphaStar there. Now, after that ladder experience with AlphaStar, everyone was pretty excited about it. And then AlphaStar was able to publish a paper in Nature that's out right about now, so you should definitely check that out. DeepMind got to publish that. And AlphaStar team came to BlizzCon once again, where I was able to talk to them on the Pylon show. And this was a very interesting interview with Oriol Vinyals, as well as TLO, one of the pro gamers that helped out with AlphaStar and teaching AlphaStar how to play and testing AlphaStar and seeing how good AlphaStar was. A very interesting talk indeed. That's definitely something you should check out. And of course, you should check out deepmind.com/blog. That is where you can really learn a whole lot about all this, as I'm just kind of skimming over all the important points. So at BlizzCon, they also had an area set up, and you can see shots from that at the bottom of the screen here, where people could play against AlphaStar. And that was a very interesting experience. Later on that day, Serral, the best player in the world, actually went down and played some games for fun against AlphaStar. Now, Serral is the 2018 world champion. This year, he barely missed it, getting top 4, but he has won pretty much every tournament that he's entered. All the players and all the casters and pretty much everyone agree that he is the strongest player in the world. Joona Sotala is a beast. Now, to be fair about these matches, this was not an optimal playing environment for Serral. This was an environment where he was having to use a keyboard and mouse that were not his, and that does make a big difference. I don't have the best metaphor for this, but imagine Roger Federer using a racket that's a little bit different size, a little bit different length. He's still going to beat almost everyone in the world at tennis, but at the very top, the games are going to get a little bit more difficult. So not optimal playing conditions. This wasn't an official match or anything like that, but there were very interesting results to these games. And that's what I'm going to be going over next here in the video. So definitely check that out. And at the end, I'm going to have an interview with the lead of AlphaStar, Oriol Vinyals. So make sure you check it out.